Word up.
Well, hello, everyone, and welcome to VR Verdict Podcast, episode 114, our weekly podcast where we talk about everything VR. I'm PJ.
I'm Wookie.
Hi, I'm Stephen.
And I'm Jack.
And you guys are from the VR Hive.
That's correct, yeah.
Indeed,
VR
yeah.
Hive, based in the UK. We work remotely from each other, so I'm in Scotland. And
Nice.
Jack?
And I'm over in down in Wales, just outside
Nice.
of Cardiff. So yeah,
Awesome.
Very
And what time is it in your areas then?
It's nice and early, 1 a.m. current time.
you'll have to excuse us if we yawn every now and again. But yeah,
Totally.
You see me just kind of slumping back like that.
10 minutes into any task, no matter what time of the day, I'm usually yawning anyway, unless it's,
Oh, yeah.
Lord of the
yeah.
Rings or movies.
I've had 12 coffees, so that should hopefully keep me going for the next half hour or so.
yeah.
If we see your arm just kind of go down and you're like this, we'll kind of just wrap it up. We know we won't wake you.
I think back in the day, when we recorded for, we had a booth in the Spatial Ape trade show that was all in VR. And I think I fell asleep during one recording because I remember just like going like this. And I don't remember if I was thinking or if I was just whatever. PJ and the other guy were your guests, we were talking. And then I remember just like snapping up, like, booting up. And I remember everybody was kind of looking at me like, play it cool. Play it cool. Like there's no eye tracking. They didn't see me blink or sleep or whatever.
I totally thought Wookie was here.
Yeah.
That makes more sense.
Wookie.
Oh.
So I'm like, and Wookie? My bad.
Why it was extra.
We're getting there. Work in
Yeah,
progress. So you guys seem to have a couple of different things going on. If you want to kind of give us the rundown of what you guys are about, and we'll get into a couple of your different things.
Yeah, sure. Sorry, I'll jump on this, Jack. So,
Please do. Yeah.
we're really trying to root ourselves in the sort of ed tech space, utilizing XR technologies for education and training purposes. Appreciate this is not a new thing for VR technologies. Used heavily in the fields of medicine, industrial engineering, and all that sort of thing. But the kind of part of the niche of the market that we found is actually in soft skills training. So things like communication and leadership, critical thinking, and things of that nature. So really try to use that but a gap in the market and our kind of collective expertise in gamification solutions. We're using game technologies for these sort of training experiences. So to date, we've in the background there's been a lot happening. In the public eye, we'd developed a 3-player tank driving simulator, which you can kind of see playing in the background. Excuse us recording. At some points, I see a mouse cursor coming up and stuff. The joys of working at a tech startup when we're all doing 20 jobs at the same time. So that's been in kind of beta sort of phase for a short while, I think about a couple months. And also in the background, we're starting to develop our own kind of platform for hosting our educational content, kind of targeting educational institutions and provide them a bit more of a more viable solution to e-learning. The kind of flat, clicking through the buttons and boring yourself half to death and not retaining any information. Because ultimately we're all gamers, we love playing games. So, if you can play games and get some qualifications or some accreditation through that, then why the hell not? That's just the kind of gist of it.
That sounds awesome,
Yeah.
It's a lot of fun, but with game development and then dealing with a lot of varied user base, proposes a lot of different and very interesting challenges as well. So at the company, I'm the kind of lead developer, and I'm kind of acting as the platform architect as well. And my colleague Jack, he's heads up all the production for our filming stuff. I don't know if Jack, you want to tag in here?
Yeah, sure thing, sure thing. So as Steve mentioned, we've got the Planet Pollinate game there behind us, and we're working. He's working on a few other sort of similar fully immersive projects. Whereas the other side of the company that I'm sort of more working on is sort of the more live action 360 sort of filming. The way I describe it is it's almost like a choose your own adventure game. Where you're at the castle gate, do you want to go left, do you want to go right, do you want to go through, and we're sort of transporting that into the world of virtual reality education. So one of the recent projects we've been working on has been to do with like end of life conversations for, sorry to get really heavy, like really straight off the bat, but
5 minutes
it's
in.
one that we're really, really pleased with. So I want to scream about it from the rooftops. So yeah, it's about end of life conversations, and it was co-designed with nursing students and healthcare professionals within the UK. And so you've got several options that you can select of what you want to say to this couple, this elderly couple, and go through the conversation and make mistakes and have that sort of safe space to make those mistakes and say things that you would never say in real life, and see what the sort of the real world consequences could potentially be of that. So that's the sort of thing that I deal with, script writing, finding actors, filming, and then into the final edit, really.
Nice.
That's awesome. Like, and I should mention, we kind of met you guys through Laura Shearman, who we had on the podcast last year, and she's just amazing. And the thing she was working on was just blowing my mind. Like, we're gamers by trade, or not by trade, but all our lives. So in VR, it's so amazing that you have games and experiences, and then you have folks like yourselves that are trying to work in education and all that. It's more interesting to me than games are, and I never thought I'd see that. And I end up saying that a lot on here because it's true. But
like, if I can interject there, one of the most fun experiences in games even is usually like the first third of the game when you're figuring it all out. So like you're learning in the digital environment, and then once you kind of get a grasp on it, most games just make you do that grindy loop to keep you playing, and then it's like, well, I'm done with that. Like, figuring out all the mechanics and how to navigate and do all that stuff is usually the best part. So that does kind of like, it's kind of a no-brainer once you realize it, or once somebody like you guys are like, hey, you train people. It's like, where's this been?
Yeah, exactly. I think that I agree with you there. I mean, I love From Software games, so I'm currently kind of playing through Elden Ring when I have 5 minutes to spare.
How's that going?
All right. I mean, I'm about 50 hours in, and I've done about 3 of the kind of main bosses, I think. I don't know how many bosses I've done. There's about 400 bosses in the entire game. So,
my girlfriend's sister just beat it the other day. Jesus.
Oh, well, props on that. It'll be a while till I'll probably get there. But I agree with the first part is getting a new area, and you turn a corner, and then you get jumped by about 40 different dudes, all OP and smashing you about. But once you learn how the enemies work and all that sort of thing, you can arguably lose a little bit of the kind of the fun and the challenge there, because it's a bit predictable. That's something we've been kind of trying to bear in mind when it comes to our future plans for our experiences. So we've actually got a very talented gentleman that's just started working with us, and he's working on our kind of AI machine learning framework that's going to power a lot of our experiences. So capturing things like tone of voice, the type of language that you're using, telematic data on how you're moving around the experience and all that sort of thing, so that we can give as much of an optimum feedback as possible to our users. That's kind of really big selling point, particularly when we're speaking to education institutions and stuff like that, where we're basically saying we're doing a lot of the hard work so that you necessarily don't have to, but you can reap the rewards, so get the valuable data, and then kind of trying to form that kind of ecosystem of learners coming in, enjoying the experiences, having meaningful moments from it, and meaningful learning experiences. and then we can capture that data, and then that can help train the next class or the next round of students, and it's just just keeps going to that, keeps getting optimized, and feeding that in as much ways as possible, like so for the difficult conversations and those sort of content they've been making. I mean, imagine powering that by an AI algorithm that might not even know what about voice actors and stuff like that and all that sort of thing, and get the AI to do it as well.
But yeah, I think just to go on what Stephen said, that feedback, that instantaneous response is really useful, and we've built that into the sort of the projects that we've worked on so far. But yeah, linking up with like LMSs, learning management systems, and things along those lines, where you can do oh, what's the homework for tonight, teacher? I'll go home and do this VR episode, and then all of that content, all of that feedback sort of feeds into their learning management system. Teacher can get it up on their computer the next day, and bingo, these people have passed, these people have failed, or whatever criteria they're sort of marking it on, which I think is really exciting. The ability to play games for homework and the ability to play games for classwork is something that I would have fallen over at the chance to have done when I was at school.
I was doing way better at school if that was the case.
Right. Versus playing games instead of doing homework.
Yeah, exactly.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, me too, to be honest.
Much like the end of life scenario you were mentioning, I was kind of watching your guys' videos on YouTube, and you had like a management one, which I'm new to management. I've been doing it a year, but I have a team of 14. Like, I don't know what the hell I'm doing. So I was watching some of that, and I was really interested in that. And it's neat that, like you said, you can, what should I say in this scenario? And you pick it, and if it's right or wrong, like you instantly know it because, like you have the actor there, and it's like, it's pretty neat. Like I was blown away. So
yeah,
really interesting.
I think you were in that one. You were the actor for that one, weren't you, Stephen? I believe.
I was going to ask.
Yeah. But I think seeing that real world response and the sort of 360 film stuff, even though it may be a bit, I don't want to say old hat compared to the sort of fully immersive content, but seeing that human interaction, that human sort of feedback instantly is really something that you can't replicate. And through conversations we've had with subject matter experts and other people working in education, is that I forgot what I was going to say now. What was I going to say? Oh, yeah, role plays. Sorry. The role plays can be somewhat effective, but you know what it's like when you're being asked to stand up in front of the class and pretend to be so-and-so from a shop or whatever, to do a role play to help build customer relations. It just doesn't have that same connection, whereas that's something that we found with the live action stuff, is it brings that sort of human element really, really into it, and you get that instant human feedback straight away.
Yeah.
If that makes any sense whatsoever.
Oh yeah.
Oh, good.
Good.
Yeah.
So, have you done any like I already forgot the term, but like user feedback testing and gotten any feedback?
Yeah,
from
we've
that?
done a number of different kind of sessions. We've done quite a lot for Planet Pollinate, and we're working on that for quite some time. And it was really so I'm a computer games development graduate from university, and this was our first kind of big project. We worked on the first project that we've ever shipped, even though it's still kind of a beta release. But yeah, through that, I remember the first time we done user testing, and to someone who'd never used VR before, and we just kind of flung them into it, no tutorial, no telling them what the buttons were and all that sort of thing, and it was a bit of a catastrophe, to be honest with you. But to tie into what we're selling, it was that experiential learning. We learn from those mistakes. We started writing user-friendly documentation, including a guided tutorial for the initial parts to learn the mechanics and all that sort of thing. It's funny. It was something that we would have to do for university assignments and all that sort of thing. But when it actually came to the real world, we're more focused on the kind of key mechanics, core game loop, and all that sort of thing, and that we just plain forgot about it. In all fairness, initially, but then we've learned from that, and then when we've done some more testing, I done me and some of the guys in the office in Scotland done some at a local university that they were partnered with. Jack, you'd done some testing down south in the south west England. But overall, it's been
sorry.
Just saying, it's been quite positive since that. We kind of learn from it. We take feedback and can criticism on board. Because ultimately, when we're doing things day in day out, it's quite easy to get tunnel vision and kind of pigeonholed into it. But when you give it in the hands of a user that's never experienced it before, particularly someone who's never experienced VR before, it's quite hard to potentially accommodate all the variables and all the miraculous ways that they find to break what you've created.
Yeah. But yeah, we had I think it was 2 weeks ago now with Laura Schumann, we had a feedback session on some of the what's the sort of point? I'm sure there's some great historical analogy I could draw there, but I can't think of any at the moment. So yeah, we had some fantastic feedback sessions with students, with educators, and in all honesty, it was quite overwhelming, the sort of the positivity we received. And I think some of them are already using our content, even though it's not been properly released yet, not been launched yet. They're already using it as part of their sort of staff training and as part of their student sort of education at the moment, which is really fantastic to see that people actually want to use the product, which I think is validation for anyone who produces anything that people want it.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I think one thing that's been interesting as well is that because our who should really benefit from this is not only the students actually going through the experiences, but it's actually the educators that are trying to facilitate their learning and finding new tools for that. But it also creates its own kind of interesting set of challenges. Okay, so you've created a feature or a set of features that's going to be suitable for the students and potentially creating a beneficial learning experience. But does it actually fit with their curriculum? Is that going to satisfy their school administrators who have to go to accredited bodies and say they've done X, Y, Z, and this is why it's going towards these marks towards their their grade and all that sort of thing. So it's trying to encapsulate this kind of I don't really say what is the kind of one size fits all, but you're trying to fit all these different needs and requirements and demands and from so you really need to have that engagement, because I can't say what an educator wants. I arguably can't say what a student wants, so that's why you have to have that kind of, those as a resource for us so we can actually develop meaningful content.
Yeah, I was going to ask, and this may or may not make sense, or you might just go down the tube here, but so when you're developing these things and I would imagine a lot of the focus is on like the student and whatnot, but it seems like you'd have to have like a whole nother separate, almost not platform, but piece for like the educator, like the teacher, or not. Like how do they take the data? Like you were kind of explaining a little earlier, like how did on their end of it, how do they use it or view it or any of that?
Jack might want to kind of chime in with this, but a lot of the work that Laura Sherman had done, and Jack, you had kind of helped with this as well at the time, was that we looked at kind of different courses that were being taught, and I think it was more kind of general education initially, and like, right, okay, where can we maybe map experiences to just to hit these marks so that we can say, okay, they can do this experience and it can go towards an accreditation or a certificate or a grade. So there's been a bit of work done there initially.
With sorry to butt in there, Steve, but with all of these, we've sort of based them on sort of T levels, which is college levels that we have in the UK. So yeah, they have a sort of set defined amount of sort of learning objectives that they hit. And then obviously when we're writing the script, when we're developing the episode, we have to get those learning objectives into the episode so that the educators are confident that what we're providing is is viable for the course. But also, Stephen, I know you've done an awful lot of work on the platform development and that side of things for the sort of the VR Hive platform, with the whole separate sort of app almost for educators to access the content from, haven't you?
Yeah, so yeah, that's been a can of worms, if I'm honest. So, so that with our platform, it's not only just maybe students and educators going into the experiences and being able to facilitate tools for to mitigate any bullying, harassment, all that sort of thing from an educator's point of view. But then it's like, okay, the school admins are going to need to get us information, so it's creating a link from our kind of cloud-based network to transmit the assessment or experience data, directly to their what we call virtual learning environments. So it's basically kind of like an online portal that institutions use to go in and they can get coursework and stuff assigned to them, and how they get their homework essentially. And especially since through kind of COVID and all that sort of thing, where a lot of institutions are actually having to rely on these systems now as opposed to in-class teaching. That's what we're really trying to. Because the tools are great, but unfortunately they're just not being used to the best they possibly can. It's all very flat. It's all very, like from a forum from like 2004. It's honestly like it can be as bad as that. But it's just about using the existing tools, linking into that. But yeah, it's posed quite a number of different challenges. Trying to ask education institution administrators, well, what would your requirements be for this platform? And then you have to explain them what a platform is, then what VR is, and what a computer is, and all that sort of thing. But I suppose for me, particularly, it's it keeps me on my toes. I'm constantly having to make sure I'm giving the best possible information and advice, and you're constantly selling the benefits of it, which I can see and I can feel, and what some of our users have felt as well. But yeah, some school admins are a bit hard to kind of come round.
And I think, just to riff off what you're saying, just shut me up if I'm jabbering on too much. But just to go on what you were saying there, that's one of the reasons why we've developed the mobile app as well, and also it's available on the web app on a 2D version as well.
Nice.
It's just that ease of access. Probably everyone in this room and probably the vast majority of people watching the live stream are going to have a mobile phone that can access our app, that can access the virtual reality content. Yes, it's more simple than some of the things that you're seeing behind you, but it's getting that empowering people to access education, really. And if you can do that from the phone in your pocket, then all the more power to you, all the more power to the learner, really.
Yeah, just going about that accessibility being a big thing. Some people would argue say that so we're on Meta Quest 2 devices. I kind of almost cringe saying Meta Quest, but that is what it is. Which is arguably the most accessible standalone VR kit on the market, and when you compare it to Valve Index and all that sort of thing. But that's actually not accessible for everyone. The RRP in the UK for that is £300. So what's that? About $350 or something like that. But that's crazy expensive for a lot of people. Do you know what I mean? So alienating people because of a price point, we didn't feel was right. So that's why we're looking at we use some WebXR frameworks, so that everyone's pretty much. I say people, VR isn't accessible, but most people I know have got an £800 iPhone in their pocket, which is a bit backwards. But it's trying to use the tools that people already have. So an internet connection, a mobile device, access to a computer, which was granted through education institutions, and if that's our first taste into what immersive technologies can offer, then we're looking to facilitate that. So looking at both desktop and mobile based XR and fully immersive VR, and hopefully coming soon a bit of augmented virtuality as well. Something I'm particularly interested in.
Boys, we've talked to a few classroom teachers that use VR as much as they can, and I think that's awesome. And I always say, like, if I was a kid, like, I would have paid way more attention and done way better, you know. But I'm excited to see, like, I think AR might be a little more useful in the classroom because you can actually, like everyone can kind of see it more. And it's, you know, it just seems like there might be a little more to do and a little more to show off with that. But I haven't really seen anyone do much with that space. So be interesting.
Yeah, it's funny. I agree with you there. I think you know, AR would be particularly effective as well. You know, it's kind of funny. I mean, most of the applications of AR that I see in my day to day is like Snapchat filters, you know, Instagram
Yeah.
filters, and all that sort of thing. You know, made through like Spark or something like that. Which, you know, they can be quite, you know, quite cool and stuff like that. But I don't think it really does the technology justice and what it's actually capable of. But I mean, we were in talk. We're currently in talks with another education institution in the medical field about using like HoloLens and stuff like that, where you know, where that's, you know, tried and tested in that markets. But you know, why is it just being excluded to, you know, applications for, you know, medicine or something like that? You know, that's as again, it goes back to the whole accessibility, you know, just because they're doing, you know, this sort of maybe niche or high risk sort of procedures they need training on. Then, but you know, why can't you take that technology and apply it to something like, you know, history or geography or, you know, effective communication or something like that? You know, there's a whole. Yeah, I personally believe you're unlimited by your imagination and the amount of time and energy you've got. That's it.
I think we found with a lot of, correct me if I'm wrong here, Stephen, but a lot of sort of VR education tools are really focused on the sort of the hard skills. So like Stephen said, things like medicine, engineering's a big one, and things along those lines. So I think we're, you know, again, like you said, Stephen, sorry, I'm just copying everything you're saying here.
No.
But if we can... Yeah, exactly. But if we can sort of bring the technology to things like job interviews and things like that, you know, training kids who are sort of just leaving secondary school, leaving high school sort of level, job interviews, university interviews, everyday situations, that can really help people, I think.
I was honestly thinking you guys this week because I was doing some hiring and I was interviewing this young guy, and you know, everyone's different. Like, I don't get nervous often, but you know, and so like I don't really think about it. But in this guy I was interviewing, young kid, his hands were just like shaking the whole time, and I felt so bad. But it's like I don't really think of that kind of thing. Like if he wasn't shaking, I wouldn't know if he's nervous or not because it wouldn't even enter my mind. So again, going back to your guys' apps and the scenarios, like that's just really good thing to bring. Like, hey, this person may be going through this, and this, and you wouldn't even know. Keep that in mind.
Oh yeah,
you know? That's just.
Or if you're going for the interview as well, you know, you get to practice. You get to have a go at it 3-4 times, and that's one thing that a lot of the nursing students said about the end of life conversation project that we've worked on is if they knew they had to go and deliver that sort of the news to someone, they would use the application and use the sort of the episode, you know, 3, 4, 5, 6 times maybe before they went and actually delivered it, just to get that practice in and get that sort of quote unquote semi-real world sort of experience in that.
Yeah, just to tell me that when there was a nursing professional that said that most nurses remember the first time they've had that kind of conversation because, you know, 99.9% of the time, you know, the first time it was a car crash, you know. Well, sorry, that's maybe a bad choice of language, but, you know, it went really badly. And because, yes, sorry about that, it's 1 a.m. here, so, but, you know, it went really badly, and that, you know, that stuck with them. And then when they go into, you know, it comes up, or they're going to have this conversation again with someone. And then, you know, the nerves are accelerated because they've had it before and it was a really bad experience for them. But if they had the opportunity to, you know, have some practices in a safe environment, then, you know, they could be a bit more prepared. And the fact if it's on a, you know, mobile app as well, you know, if you had, you know, some time to prepare and, you know, a bit of a refresher or, you know, have that kind of extra resource, as opposed to having to kind of learn as you go in those sort of situations. It's not, you know, super appropriate in my opinion.
And also the other what? Sorry, were you gonna have I
No, go ahead.
spoken over someone? Okay, fabulous. The other episode that we've also developed was sort of a difficult conversation surrounding someone who's admitted themselves into hospital with mental health in a mental health crisis. So that was for slightly sort of younger age. So the end of life conversation was developed for university students, and then the mental health crisis was aimed at college students. I'm not sure what you guys call colleges in the United States, what we would call colleges, but the sort of the level below universities, basically. And so that one thing that a lot of them were saying was that they didn't have ready access to be able to go into a hospital. You know, if you're 16, 17, you're not going to be able to have these difficult conversations. You're not really going to be able to be on a ward without being supervised to the sort of the nth degree sort of thing. So having these sort of practice conversations, it exposes them to the realities of what it's like to work in healthcare or in any industry, really. I'm just saying healthcare because that's the ones that we've just come off the project, so it's fresh in my mind. So it's giving that exposure to people as well to certain industries, which previously maybe VR hasn't given them the exposure to. Like we said, it's very big in sort of in technology and engineering and things along those lines. But the more softer skills side of things, we really feel like it's got a place to go in there. We've also talked about developing things for like hospitality and things along those lines, health, safety, and security in the workplace, things like that. That's been a very popular one. Interview skills, everything like that. I mean, there isn't anything that we can't apply it to. I think the only limitation is the time that we have to develop these things. Really, yeah.
Have you guys found where, like, because companies obviously spend a lot of money and time on training and how to like train properly. It seems like in VR you have body language and all kinds of other things tied in like instantly. Do you find that it's easier to set something up from scratch and like get it going because of all that? And are you able to kind of point that out to where like there might be even like cost savings aside from like the better learning and training type of scenario? Or
Oh yeah, I mean, sorry, Jack, if you wanted to.
No, I was just gonna, 100%. I mean, I'm just remembering some of the stats. I'm sure our boss would be very annoyed that we haven't mentioned any stats so far, and that I can't remember any more. But it's something like
you're going for brownie points, is what you're saying.
Yeah, always.
But it's stuff like VR learning on the whole is like 4 times quicker than in-person learning because you're not having to deal with all the sort of the almost the pleasantries almost. Knowledge retention is been shown to be 75% more effective at knowledge retention as well than in-person training. And also, if you came to us, all these stats are sourced on our website as well. If you want to go, if you don't believe
VRHive.com.
There we go.
We'll have links in the notes. We'll get them there.
Thank you.
Fabulous. So if a company A came to us and said we want you to build this in management training sort of thing, they could use it with everyone in their company. If it's an international company, we can produce it in multiple languages, multiple subtitles, everything like that. It's a lot more cost and time effective than getting individual trainers to come in every single day, to train a different class of sort of employees. So that's one thing that we really do like to shout about. I think we can build it once and put it out to as many people as they want trained in that particular sort of subject area.
And I think as well, just to kind of tie on with that, is the kind of pricing kind of strategy that we're going for is a kind of subscription service. And because that our plan is to, target, a lot of different industries and things like that, is that, if we've got learning content for, difficult conversations and all this sort of thing. But if you don't want to subscribe to that, then, you don't have to opt into that package. You can get the, leadership and management, training. I mean, I was recently, I went to a week-long leadership and management training, and I'd even want to know how much it costs because it was fancy. It was exceptionally fancy, and, the tutor was absolutely fantastic. I mean, he's, years of experience and, a really good track record, but, he must have been been a pretty penny, you know, but it's trying to encapsulate all that kind of knowledge into a easily accessible sort of package that's kind of tailored to what you want to get out of it. That is, you know, really the kind of end goal that we see. And as time goes on, and the more content and the more sort of areas we'll cover, you know, it's going to make make it a lot more impactful for a lot more people as well. Having that kind of accessible and tailored pricing model too.
Yeah, and it's a running joke at my place of work. Not with my group or anything. We have many groups, but like with the bulk of the company, it's just a running joke that, you know, when a new person starts, there's just hundreds of hours of videos, and these people just sleep through them because no matter how well you do them, it's just a lot. And if you don't like break it up and make them do stuff, they're just gonna pass out. But
fatigue.
Yeah, if you could just hop in and again, the production costs of the simple training videos and all that nonsense, like just have a nice thing, put the headset on and have your guys' training, and it's way more impactful, and you, like you said, you retain more, and I don't know, looks like all positives.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
The only good thing I get out of those LMS courses, usually where there's like, you know, some slideshows and stuff, is so usually have like a really goofy looking guy, or like he's really into his expressions, and I just take screenshots of all those faces, and then in the company chat, when somebody does something, there's my reaction. There's, you know, that, and then like I zoom in on his eyeballs, you know, just real huge. Like, don't invite me to meetings or, you know, chat with me. 'Cause not gonna-
No, since you mentioned you were kind of the actor in the scenario I saw anyway, like, do you have any like scenarios like where it would, like, whether it's you or someone else, but like it's just fun to like to react like, hey, I'm interviewing this guy, and I'm picking the wrong thing, but just to see the guy's reaction, like how fun is it to act and actually have like, you know, the crazy reaction that you might get?
Yeah, well, and that one that they've been sent to you that's on our YouTube channel is a bit of a kind of snippet. There's a few one in there where so I don't think I swear or anything like that. I use very strong language, and I kind of storm out the room because I've just been, you know, unfairly dismissed from my job and all that sort of thing. And that was great fun. I'll be honest. You know, I found that a lot easier than, you know, try to keep a straight face through the parts where I was meant to be sad, and you know, try to convey more kind of sensitive emotions. I mean, I'm a Scottish guy, so kind of anger and aggression just is in my nature, I suppose. So it's a lot easier for me to do. But yeah, that was great fun. That was great fun. I actually got roped into doing that because I'd one of my friends is a film producer, and he'd done a short film, and it was a bit tongue in cheek, but it was, you know, quite serious, and I struggled to not laugh through the whole time. I absolutely struggled. I mean, I don't want to deviate, but I was in a dress the entire time as well, so taking myself seriously to be serious just wasn't working. But no, that was great fun. That was great fun. I'm glad now we're in a position where we have actual professional actors in, and not just some you know, silly developer that you know, agreed to do something to help the company. But at the end of the day, I think we made some decent content out of it. You know, really kind of showed our concept. You know, which is good. That, you know, really helped to kind of sell what we were about, which has really been helpful in gaining other clients and stuff like that.
And you know, we've kind of talked about regional things before. Like, I think the same type of thing you guys could apply it to, like just hearing like your guys' backgrounds, like, and how things are different. Like, that would be one of the most interesting things to me. Like, just like, because just watching those videos, like, you know, like you're from Scotland, like, and things are different from over here in America. You know, in many ways. Just that simple job interview, and like how different, like with the culture and everything, like it really stuck out. And like I would love to see like more culture differences and stuff. I think that would do a lot to like bring in like more understanding and, you know, all that stuff, just seeing other culture sides of things.
Yeah,
and, you know,
yeah.
I think that'd be amazing.
Yeah. You know, I think for this moment in time, because we're such a small company, and we've only really been a company for just over a year now. So we're kind of focused, mostly in the UK at this moment in time. But the kind of end goal is to be, kind of globally recognised as, the future of e-learning. Essentially, that's not to put it short. So yeah, things like incorporating different cultures, people from different backgrounds, languages now as well. Our client.
Yeah, we did. One of the first projects we worked on was a tour of a TV studios down here in Cardiff. Bad Wolf Studios. They produce things like they're just starting to produce a new series of Doctor Who. There, they produced His Dark Materials.
Nice.
What was the other big one that they produced? Discovery of Witches and all those really big shows. And so one of the key things that they do is go out to schools and things like that, and which they haven't been able to do with COVID. And they go to a lot of Welsh-speaking schools as well. So we had to produce that whole sort of episode in the Welsh language as well. And we're working with a client, a big multinational client at the moment, and we're in talks about doing sort of Spanish and French versions of their sort of training episode as well. So yeah, really bringing it. I mean, in the future, who knows? We'll have an office in New York City somewhere. You never know. And yeah, just getting that different culture and bringing it. It's like just going on what I said was earlier. Everyone's got a mobile phone in their pocket. Everyone can access our content. So you want it sort of regionalized to where you guys are, and
definitely.
to be able to access everything else and see everyone else and how they do it. If you've got a big business meeting in London or something like that, you might want to freshen up on how they do job interviews or vice versa.
Another country
whatever.
or something. Yeah, exactly.
Exactly. Yeah.
That's awesome.
Aren't you guys afraid you're going to eliminate all the sitcom usual schemes that take these things into play? Like you're going to kill any future Seinfeld or Frasier.
I mean, they've had a good
Don't
run.
have my pastor. You're going to kill all those.
They've had a good run.
Yeah, they've had a good run. I think it's time of the baton to be passed, and we can take the reins for a little bit at least. Hopefully. But the world works in funny ways. So if we take over that, there's some very creative people out there. So I'm sure they'll find some fantastic new ways to. Yeah, exactly.
Imagine Americans going into European countries and not making complete asses of ourselves.
You see what say that about British people as well, to be honest with you.
Yeah, as Brits, that's what we say about ourselves. Yeah.
Yeah. We have a friend from Birmingham, and he just had a trip to New York, and he sent me an email, and he was like, I spent way too much money because VAT tax is different than our sales tax. You got to pay sales tax and everything. And he's like,
yeah,
he was complaining about glass of pineapple juice. It was like $8.50. No.
Yeah, it was interesting.
the
First time I went to America, there was a dollar store, but it doesn't actually cost $1. It was $1.17. And I was like, what? I was given $1 though.
Yeah.
I was pointed to the penny tray thing. There's a penny tray if you leave a penny or something like that.
Yeah.
And I pretty much that didn't even cover it.
Take a penny, leave it. Yeah. I just empty those out every time I go. I just take the whole thing and put it in my pocket, and then just put the tray back. It's like they're free.
Yeah, it was just for free. Yeah.
I don't really do that.
Yeah. Yeah, I lived in Toronto for a wee bit, and it really shook me, the whole extra tax on everything. $10 picture was $10.15 or something. I don't know what it was, but yeah, that was pretty crazy. But if you could experience that in VR before you went on your trip, that would be you'd be used to it, and it would be amazing. Yeah.
And
you might not even go out.
Well, exactly. Yeah.
Our country's just too big. Back in the day, like PJ and I are brothers, and we're from Wisconsin, which is the top middle of the U.S., so up north. And now I live on the southern, kind of eastern part. And my parents came to visit me when I moved down here once. And my dad is not a patient. He wasn't a patient guy, but he's mad because he was like, he felt dumb at one of our gas stations, our petrol stations, because you have to swipe your card first. You can't just pump petrol and then go pay for it.
Okay,
In
yeah.
the South, you have to punch your card in, or you have to go into the attendant and then say $20 on pump 3, And he was out there for I don't know how long. He was so mad and frustrated about it, and I was like, he's like, why didn't you tell me? I'm like, how the fuck am I gonna like just think of that one random ass? And like, again, taking a trip down there, just a slice of life in every facet of the planet would be great.
Ruin his
Yeah.
day.
So there was
Ruin
actually
his trip. Whole trip.
it's maybe more hard skills, but I read an article recently about how some law changed at some gas stations in America. I think it was in Portland, where it's now not a requirement for you to have someone, pump your gas. Funny, saying pump your gas is actually quite maybe inappropriate in the UK. Potentially, but then it was like people were confused because they'd never actually had to do it before. So the people in 30s, 40s, 50s, and they've just got not a Scooby-Doo what to do. So imagine there was a VR Hive piece of content, how to pump your own gas. What do? Do you take the lighter out and you set the thing on fire, or do you take it out a park and let it go?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You drive and ram the pump, and the gas just magically seeps in through the paint.
Yeah.
There's nothing
That's how it works in most games.
over here in America. We're starting to get We're starting to get more and more roundabout corners. Very popular in Britain ever since Chevy Chase had his movie. But there's a fair few over here, but there's still places that haven't seen them. And you can see a video online from a few years back of I think it's Kentucky, which is the middle of our country, like right in the middle.
Yeah.
And there's a roundabout turn got added, and nobody knows how to do the traffic camera is there's people driving right over it, like if this is a circle, they're just driving right past it. There's people that want to take a left turn instead of going around the traffic circle and then going that way. They just drive into oncoming traffic and undercut the whole thing. And it's like, holy crap.
Roundabout. Yeah. Roundabouts are scary though.
Did they not put a roundabout in a Grand Theft Auto game?
But I've always thought a virtual reality sort of driving lesson. Virtual reality driving lessons would be great. You just have to get the foot pedals and the sort of the gear stick as well.
Yeah, if you'd
that's
put pedals on it.
Those are expensive.
Yeah, I think
they are expensive. Yeah.
But I mean, I have foot pedals and a gear stick for my PS2, back in the day. So if you just use the same technology, there you go.
I've got a wheel with the gas pedals. The gear stick's like $200, and the frame to hold it is $200, and the wheel is $200. So it's like it's about that. If you go there,
it's like buying a real car.
Right?
It's more expensive than the actual second-hand cars I'm looking at right now.
Right? But imagine if they just had little booths like that when you go to take your in-person driving test, and then you just go over there and have a little arcade, and where they the driving instructors can be like, okay, I feel confident that they're not going to get me killed.
Yeah.
I think I'll take them for a test drive. Or
they do that with pilots. Like if you want to get your hours up as a trainee pilot, you go into a simulator. So why don't they? There's a gap in the market. If the VR Hive fires us both tomorrow, this is our new company, Stephen.
That's exactly. The VR Drive.
And if you guys need some help, I'm willing to do that. Like whatever I can do to chip in, because that sounds like fun.
The thing is, I'm learning to drive just now, and a practical driving test in the UK is you pay XYZ for an invigilator guy to come in, and he puts his sat nav on and he says, right, drive. It's like, you could just be an AI, do you know what I mean?
Thanks,
you just cut out the middleman. You don't need to risk any motorists in on the roads and stuff like that, and learn by your mistakes by running people over and all that sort of thing. Definitely a gap in the market there. A side project, I think. Whenever I have the time.
One of the practical driving tests I had to take ages ago, and like halfway through the driving course at our high schools, was like everybody had to come out and do like a function in the car. You had to sit in the driver's seat and do something, like operate one of the things, like the wipers or something like that. I got turn the radio off, and I was like, "How much are we paying you?" Like, at least ask me to pop the hood. Like there's a PWR as power, right? Okay. Oh my god. Oh, sorry. I'm getting angry.
No, that's all right.
Stupid.
Yeah. I always love that video from I can't remember where it is in the States, but it's a big city and they've got all the golf cart roads and the kids like drive the golf carts back and forth from school and stuff like that.
Never
I
seen
don't know
that.
if you
I
guys
don't
have
know.
seen that or
No.
oh, it's amazing. It's like you've got the main roads with the cars on and everything. Then you got proper like paved tracks just for golf carts. And people drive the golf carts to and from work, to and from school. You got
I
15-year-old
want that.
kids driving them and yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah.
That might be fun. And they already kind of know the
Yeah, that would be great.
ropes. And
Mm-hmm.
going back to that British friend of ours from Birmingham, you could upgrade your subscriptions for experiences to get used to in VR, because he was over here when that New York subway shooter thing just happened. I think he was like in the city about to go on the subway, and then they're like, we didn't leave Manhattan or whatever. They didn't go on the subway to go to the other islands and stuff because there was an active shooter. And I was like, welcome to America. But at least you could take a course and be like, in this case, this is how people are going to get off the subway, or I hate to call it like live shooter training, but
Emergency evacuation.
Well, yeah, that's interesting because that's actually,
America.
I believe in some states that's actually something they can embed into like their kind of high school curriculum, is how do you act in those sort of situations and and all that sort of thing.
We just had that at work. They literally brought like one of our top security guys is like an ex-military dude, and it got pretty intense. Like they were making people like walk through the hallways and like look to make sure that everything's clear and then move, and like he was like chasing them. Like it was pretty crazy.
Wow.
That kind of sounds like fun too, but like
I thought
we
it
have
was
that
fun,
in
but a
our,
lot
like,
of people were
kindergarten.
stressed out.
Yeah. We have those in our kindergarten over here now. Like, imagine that. They got bulletproof backpacks. Kind of
Wow.
like,
Wow.
welcome to America. You want to come over? We'll hang out.
Yeah, why not? Yeah, if you're paying for the
Yeah, I'd
flights,
love
then
to visit.
definitely, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, to get off that subject, I don't know if you guys have anything else to share with what we were talking about, but we haven't talked about Planet Pollinate yet. So if we want to shift
yeah, sure.
gears into something
sure.
sunny and neat.
Yeah, like our beautiful farm that we've got on here, with the arguably janky load on distance on this, the build that was used for filming on this. So Planet Pollinate. So you can try it just now on SideQuest if you like. You just search for Planet Space Pollinate.
And we'll share the links, but I feel like an ass because I saw the video and I so wanted to try it, but like 2 weeks ago I was sick, and then this week for work I was working in the field, so I couldn't get to it. But I'm definitely gonna hop in there and plan some stuff with Wookie.
Yeah, definitely, and if you've got a chance to play it, give us some feedback as well. We're still open for for some criticism and some pointers. I'm sorry for some crinkling in the background. My cat has managed to get into the catnip, so that's what that crinkling noise is.
That's awesome.
But yeah, it was very interesting developing this. I mean, it was the first kind of major project that I'd worked on with kind of more than 2 other people, essentially. So 6 of us in total, I think, was working on this. And it was interesting trying to make things like a tank friendly. So interesting kind of design choices we had to take, where the actual tank itself is kind of almost kind of DIY tractor, which were the first task when you go in is to communicate with each other and find the missing parts from the Pollinator 2000, put it together, and then that creates the actual vehicle that can be driven. And one of my colleagues is from Cyprus, so he, if you're separate, you have to do some serve some time in the National Guard, and he was a tank driver in the National Guard, so we had his expertise on what the roles were within a tank, and what the responsibilities were. So we had that kind of insider knowledge, which was interesting. And But yeah, we couldn't find a friendlier way for the gunner job role. Driver, spotter, and then gunner. I think we toyed with like planter or pelleter or something like that, but nothing really kind of stuck as of yet. So if you come up with any ideas, definitely let us know. Yeah,
and the idea I think came from all those sort of the sort of the reality TV shows like It's Me or the Dog and shows along those lines where you've got dysfunctional couples or dysfunctional families and then they go and have a tank driving day experience where they learn to communicate and one of them's blindfolded and the other one has to navigate them through the course, and that's really where I think the idea, the inception came from for this one really. It's a great team building exercise. People do shout at each other, and I've heard people get quite sort of when I was testing it, it was like back up, no, back up the other way, and all these sort of things. And obviously, it's aimed at improving communication, and I think it does it really effectively, actually.
Yeah, there was one testing session that we done at university. It was one of my old tutors, and very established academic, he's a doctor and all that sort of thing. And he was screaming at his group. He was absolutely screaming at these, university students. And they were quiet for it because he just basically took charge. He's like, go to the right, go to the left, and go up, no, up, go back, you idiot. It's just, it's funny the kind of how immersed he was in it. That he basically forgot his role as an established academic and started screaming at some children. But yeah,
obviously these things. Well, obviously these things, take the lessons that you've learned in the whilst that you may be screaming and shouting at other people, but you take that and then you reflect sort of in the real world. You reflect about what you've learned in there, what you've experienced in there, and that's where a lot of the learning really comes in that sort of reflection, almost, if you will.
And with the feedback as well, with the AI behind it, recognizing. So it's not in the current build, that's kind of been worked on at the moment, but recognizing your tone of voice and what actual language you were using as well, so that if you had an AI assessment on his experience for that, it would be first of all, no, calm down, stop shouting at the children, please. But in a very constructive way.
And thankfully, you have an HR app that he can go through right afterwards and learn what not to do again.
Exactly. Feeds into that. It's like you done. This is why this is how you acted in this. So yeah, go on to this next, and that should hopefully sort out whatever issues you clearly have. No, I jest.
There is also a bad language sort of monitor on there as well. Is something that we've talked about, and so I think previously you've gone through all the words and tried to pick out all the bad ones to include on that one. I think you had a bit of a fun time trying to do that.
It was an interesting time in the office, just just going like shit, fuck. And then my colleagues looking at me, was like, "You all right?" I said, "No, don't worry. I'm just training the model. It's all good." And now we've got a new guy in the office doing the exact same thing.
Were you gonna say something, Monkey?
You ever play the videos back? Like, did you show that professor like a recording of their session?
Because that was on campus, we weren't allowed to record. But it gets brought up to him very regularly. We still work quite closely with him. And anytime someone mentions Planet Pollinate or what we're doing, we bring it back to his experience and how immersed he was in it as a bit of a kind of selling point, particularly speaking to his colleagues. So yeah, it's definitely
I would have taken like a cell phone video. Right, and then when he gets better, I'm like, this is the improvement. This is his first try, and he's just like flipping tables and shit. The second try, and he's just like, sorry, I shouted. Didn't mean to fly off the handle there.
Just adding that to the feature backlog to recordings and have telematic playthroughs as well, and then send it directly to his email address and his boss.
Possibilities.
Chris Hansen VR or something.
Yeah, it just knows who he reports to. He's got a divorce lawyer, quick hotkey, and one of those buttons from like the ammo. Just this guy's getting divorced.
Sorry, I'm not being very helpful. No, I'm writing these down. Yeah, perfect. Cool. And that was Jack's
Never
idea,
talk
so
to
Jack, you get
Wookiee
credit for that.
again.
We've got the recording. We've got the recording. There's evidence. There's evidence.
Yep.
Yeah. Of what? I'm not
Yeah.
confident nothing.
So
Yeah,
yeah,
just
it'd
a little
be,
bit on the just kind of stats there, very briefly,
Yeah, it
and
would
some kind of
be-
timing actually.
interested to try this with Wookie because again on the podcast we've talked about like when we play online, like we've known each other our whole lives, obviously, so we don't really need to communicate much. And I think when we come across games like Demio, it makes us communicate. It's really bizarre. So I'd really be interested. We'd probably get in such a big quarrel.
I mean, it's less dangerous than buying like a piece of IKEA furniture and having one person read the instructions to the other person building it, because then you got tools and weapons and shards.
That literally
paper
just
cuts.
happened in my house about a month ago, and it wasn't pretty.
Have you played Keep
No,
Talking and No One Explodes?
Yes, yeah.
That's a very interesting one. Yeah, even it doesn't matter how friendly or an effective communicator you are, you're going to end up, particularly if you're the one trying to do the disposing, you're going to be shouting at whoever poor person's trying to decipher the manual. Yeah, actually, one of the first things we first started developing prior to Planet Pollinate, which some of the kind of frameworks and stuff for that kind of get ported over to that, was a kind of escape room type experience.
Nice.
So you've got that effective communication and problem solving, critical thinking, and all that sort of thing, and it kind of amalgamated into into this. We kind of partly used that as kind of finding our feet when it comes to cloud-based cooperative multiplayer. Some of my colleagues had never actually worked on a VR project as well. They've more done 2D, 3D, and all that sort of thing. But yeah, I mean, I'd quite like to go back to the escape rooms now that I'm a bit more knowledgeable and I've got a bit more experience, and make it. I want to say more. A bit more punishing, but just so you get that more of experience, opportunities for learning, I shall say, as opposed to punishing.
I think those ones were aimed at a slightly lower sort of education level as well.
Yeah.
So I don't think we want to punish them to that harshly.
Yeah, sorry, I'm bad choice of words
We
this
did
evening.
one.
No.
Oh, sorry.
No,
Was it?
What?
I was just saying bad choice of words because I keep saying potentially misconstrued inappropriate things. But no, after you, Ricky.
I would just say the escape rooms are great fun because like you get too many people in those. We did one once where there was easy puzzle, but I guess if you're the one opening the thing and pulling out a bunch of photos with clues on them, you're not thinking about it, and nobody was listening to me. And I'm like, you flip them over and you put them together, and then, okay, you're not listening. Okay. 5 minutes later, I'm like, thank you. Let's get the key. Go.
Yeah.
Oh, patience. Yeah, this stuff looks fun. I like, and we were talking way earlier on too. Like people might have, with I think it was an end of life thing with the discussion. If you've done one task, especially something like that, and you've kind of like had a bad experience, humans don't let those associations go, and the only way to fix them is like to repeatedly make another, wagon track in the dirt. You got to just keep making other associations. You don't always get to do that with real people because they're gonna get sick of you real quick.
Yeah.
So,
And also
exposure.
Also, I think I mean, we've all been in situations where we'd love to say something wholly inappropriate and wholly sort of rude and horrible and crass or whatever. At least I have in every single day. But
That was my whole first marriage.
Yeah.
He's not, you think he's kidding?
But yeah.
He's not.
I'm staying out of it. But
Sorry.
just to reiterate what I said, no, just to reiterate what I said earlier, you know, just that ability to make those mistakes as well and see, oh, what would happen if I was really rude to this, you know, dying person here or something like that, which I would never do as a medical professional. But what happens? I'm going to press that button, and you get to see that reaction, and that learning is really useful as well. You know, you learn more by making mistakes than you do by picking the right option every single time.
Right.
And that's one thing we found really difficult with the script, is to make sure that the right options aren't always obvious. It's not like one option is, oh, I'm going to look after you and take care of you, and the other two are just horrible, full of swear words or whatever. You know, it's a bit difficult to sort of get that sort of level playing field, and that's one thing that we've had to learn sort of a lot with. We're working with subject matter experts, and this is something that a lot of people do say, but it's not really the correct thing to say, if you catch my drift, if you know what I mean.
Yep.
But yeah, that's been a real big learning curve for us, I think.
And that that'd be helpful for a sadist like me, where like maybe if I saw it virtually, I wouldn't need to see it or say it in the real world.
Exactly,
you
yeah.
know? Like,
Yeah,
Like, yeah, when you
100%.
go to like an airport and they're like, you know, has your bag been out of your line of sight? And there's always that idiot half
Yeah.
of your brain that's like, don't say, you know, and you're just like, no, I've had it here, you know, and you just got to get one of those out of you at some point. So maybe having an actor do something stupid.
Yeah, exactly.
Just, you got to do it once. But I got to make my flight. So.
Yeah.
I think as well, some feedback that we got as well, you know, not to generalize anything, but you know, things that people have been like, maybe have some anxieties around maybe certain tasks or approaching, you know, certain problems or scenarios. You know, gives them an experience as well where they can kind of feel safe and a bit more in control as well. You know, which can be a big thing for people with sort of anxiety or you know, kind of stress through that sort of thing. So not only, you know, just, you know, you can, for lack of a better expression, you can, you know, arguably, you know, spin, you know, a lot of these experiences to, you know, for various benefits for various different people, and you know what their kind of needs and requirements are, which I think is a big thing. And then, you know, as the future goes on and more things that we're developing is powered by AI, you know, the limitation, the you know, the scope becomes bigger, but it means that, you know, even if you are, you know, kind of tried and tested professional in your field or something, you could go on to and you could arguably have an experience you've not actually had before, for, you know, a bank of, you know, questions or scenarios or situations that we can embed within it, and add a bit of RNG to it.
And one thing that we found really interesting with sorry, did I interrupt you there?
No.
One thing that we found really interesting, we've, as well as doing the sort of the live action filming, we've sort of done a sort of animated motion capture sort of version of it as well with voice actors, which again you can see on the app on the 10th of May. Plugging that again. 10th of May. And it's been really interesting to get that sort of feedback about how people respond to sort of animated avatars in comparison to sort of live action actors. And we found that the response is slightly different. But they're really useful in different situations. Say you're trying to expose a really big, heavy topic like end of life conversations to slightly younger, you know, younger learners who are just starting on their healthcare journey. But this is stuff that they need to know. The sort of animated stuff doesn't have as much emotional impact potentially as the live action stuff. So that's a really great way of introducing that sort of stuff to them. And yeah, it's just been really interesting comparing and contrasting, because I remember reading a paper, and maybe I know Laura Sherman was the one who introduced it to me, about avatars in VR, and it's so much worse to have an avatar that does things that aren't expected of humans than to have an avatar that doesn't move at all, sort of thing. And this has sort of really played out through our the sort of the motion capture sort of graphical versions that we've created as well. And we had some really fantastic voice actors and really fantastic actors. And I'm not just saying that because they agreed to work with us, but they genuinely were fantastic. And the voice actors, the emotion really did come across through the avatars as well, which I was not surprised by, but I was really happy to see that. I'm really happy to get that feedback that the emotion really did come across through the voice actors.
Nice. So, how long a list do you guys have? Because the applications are endless. Like I'm just sitting here constantly thinking of more and more like, things you could
That's
do
the
with
thing,
it. So,
yeah. I mean, we're like a team of what, about 10 people at the moment.
Yeah, if that,
So
yeah.
you know, we're constantly kind of chasing our tail a little bit on, you know, trying to get content created and get out there. So you know, a lot of work's been done, you know, to have content ready for the app that's coming out on, you guessed it, the 10th of May. You know,
10th of
Hive
May.
360 mobile app coming to iOS and Androids. Uh, you know, but you know, we've been a team of such small people, and you know, we're from working in different areas in the UK as well. You know, a constant, you know, lean, mean content producing virtual reality machine. It's, you know, that's where our kind of current difficulties lie. You know, we can have all these great ideas, but it's the time and resources and effort and cost to actually produce it. But you know, we're coming up with creative solutions for that as well. I mean, we're partnered with some educational institutions, so you know, we're looking at offering, you know, like industrial kind of projects. So it's almost like an internship or something like that. But there's kind of master's level programs in universities in the UK where, as opposed to doing like one class, like one module, you'd actually work for, you know, a company and you know, work towards a project, and you know, like you can use that for your CV or your resume, and you get, you know, valuable industry experience as well. So it's a kind of win-win situation where they're getting something that goes towards their qualifications to get industry experience, and we get a bit of help in getting some content created, or you know, things like our website updated and all that sort of thing, you know, to then ultimately sell the content.
And I think now that we've created we've created Planet Pollinate, we've created these sort of first learning episodes, we know what goes into making them a lot better than we did, you know, even 6 months ago. So
Yeah.
we've got our process down now. I think pretty much, or at least 75, 80% of the process is down, so we can just carry on creating. So I think we've got 5 or 6 episodes when the app launches, 5 or 6 episodes on the app, I believe. And then we're working on with three other educational institutions, I believe, as well, for content for the app. And then Stephen, on your side of the business, there's a lot more institutions that you're working with as well.
Yeah, I mean, last time I looked at that list, I had to scroll down a couple of times to actually get to the bottom of it.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's you know, even though we are you know, still fairly young as a company, you know, the ambitions and our kind of track record is starting to be the proof in the pudding as well, with the kind of engagement we've got from, you know, both users and institutions. But yeah, it's just, I think for the, you know, for the moment, it's just, you know, pushing forward. And you know, we're lucky enough that in the last year that we've, you know, we've created all these, you know, different frameworks and stuff. But so it's just a matter of, you know, we have the ideas, you know, we translate that into content, and you know, we just kind of keep cycling from there. I mean, and it's actually, it's very interesting now when we you know, we finish one project and we go to start a new one. You know, and when we're creating a new repository and all that sort of thing, it's the you know, the project initiation is way quicker than what it used to be. You know, we use kind of lean product development methodologies. We work in an agile kind of environment where you know, constant iterations and all that sort of thing. So as a team, we're a lot more optimized.
Nice.
You know, which is you know, a big thing for us. I mean, with, you know, Planet Pollinate was you know, we were kind of learning in real time about, you know, proper agile development and stuff like that. But you know, again, come for that experiential learning, we can now put that into practice, and things are a lot you know, a lot quicker. And hopefully, as you know, as time goes on and we grow as a team, we can impart that knowledge on to, you know, future graduates and you know, new team members, and you know, we can just kind of keep that going as well, and you know, branching into different areas of immersive technology also.
And I think one thing to mention as well about the team is just how young everyone, most people on the team are, really. I mean, everyone on the development team are recent graduates. I think I'm the one who's had the longest period of being graduated, I suppose, because we had a lot of the team members. What was it, last week? Had their graduation ceremonies.
Yeah.
So I think that just sort of
Yeah.
it is testament to them as well, and how great the development team is. Apologies if I'm blowing our own trumpet there, but I think we have to from time to time.
Oh yeah, definitely.
But yeah,
I'm
and you
very
didn't
proud
graduate
of
that long
everyone.
ago, did you?
Yeah, most of the team graduated from university last year. I've just started a PhD as well in augmented virtuality. So I'm back to being a a student again. But yeah, and you know, kind of average age of the development team is about, you know, kind of what 20, 23, 22, 23 years old. I'm the oldest. Actually, I'm in my 30s. I was a late bloomer, as I feel like to say it, but you know, I'm super proud of everyone at the company, not just from the development team or anything like that. I think from all aspects, you know, we've all kind of pitched in. We all, you know, one of my colleagues who's our level designer, but he also does marketing. You know, we've got our environment and 3D artist, and you know, he handles some of the kind of scrums and the sprints and all that sort of thing. You know, I'm a developer. I'm also audio department. Jack, you're amazing at dealing with clients, but you know, you're also, you know, tip top. You know, when it comes to actual production side of things, well, that's your bread and butter. You know, but it's
get a room.
yeah. Oh, we've got one. So
let's see here.
Yeah.
Give him some
No, that's incredible.
Really
like
a great moment.
All the 20-year-old people I know are nowhere near doing anything like that.
When I was that age, I wasn't doing anything.
I wasn't either. I'm still not doing anything.
And now they're gonna have to call you doctor? Like, come on.
I know. I can't believe that myself. If you knew my background and where I grew up, or if you went to my school teachers, they'd be like, they wouldn't believe me. You know, I'd probably be institutionalized from their recommendation. And but no, it's been quite a tough journey so far, and but you know. You can definitely see the see the payoffs, and you know how much people have grown and their confidence and stuff like that as well. You know, it's no secret that, you know, a lot of computer science students are, you know, kind of introverted and all that sort of thing. But you know, seeing the team on, you know, calls with clients and stuff like that, and you know, being able to speak up and, you know, be confident and confident in their own abilities as well. You know, that's something that I'm really pleased to see in the team. I mean, I'm known for, you know, being a bit of a kind of waffler and just, you know, talking without much substance, but you know, that's just who I am. I kind of, you know, doing that when I'm nervous or something. But you know, it's and as time goes on, exactly. The gloves fitting. So yeah, that's something that I've really been appreciative of, seeing them grow. My only concern is they don't grow too much and try to leave the company.
That seems pretty for VR. Like all the developers, I mean, there's a mixed bag, of course, but most of them that we've talked to anyway are on the younger side. So that's pretty insane when you think about it, I think. But
well, the tools are here now, so.
Yeah,
I mean, how fast can you jump into Unity and download a pre-made, you know, app to tinker with and figure it out? So that's the hardest part, is getting the framework set up. You know, anybody can code and script, but if you don't know how to install the application and publish it, you're kind of stuck.
Yeah, I think that's good, having the accessibility for that. You know, if you've got, you know, I mean, even, you know, with Unity and the kind of XR interaction toolkit, you don't necessarily even have to have a VR device. You've got I can't remember what it's called, but a kind of emulator sort of thing. You can use it as if like a, you know, keyboard and mouse sort of setup. But yeah, I think it's, you know, having, you know, okay, you can have access to the kind of tools where you can, you know, develop for these sort of platforms, but it's understanding the, you know, the usability heuristics and all the sort of nuances when it comes to the user experience, and you know, AR, VR, mixed reality, or whatever it may be. That's the kind of turning point. Is that you can load up a Unity scene and have a gun with an attached transform and it shoot bowling balls or whatever. But trying to turn it into a meaningful experience for users, that's a difficult part, in my opinion. Obviously, you can have complex interactions and all that sort of thing, but the user experience point, that's the real clincher. Try to get them in that first 30 seconds, get them engaged, and ultimately coming back and back again to your application. That's where you, in my opinion, need to put the work in. On top of optimizing and bug fixing and trying not to let anyone break it too much and not deleting your code and losing access to your Git repository and your infrastructure failing and crumbling all around you.
It's stressing me out.
Yeah, not speaking from experience, by the
way. You've never dealt with that before, have you? No.
Oh no, never. I've read about it though, but no, my time will come. Probably about 5 minutes.
Well, is there anything we didn't get to that you guys wanted to talk about
excited.
before we call it a night? Before your coffee wears off?
Yeah.
I think we mentioned when the mobile app's coming out.
Kind of covered everything. Yeah. Mobile app's coming out on 10th of May on iOS and Android. If you want to, definitely. If you want to hear more about us, we're on the VRHive.com. We're on Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn. We've actually got a TikTok account as well, which we've got one video which we got absolutely slaughtered for. Someone commented on it. This is what if Reddit and Discord was a room, this is what it looks like, and it's just the development team waving, which I still find hilarious. I know we talked about our platform, which is still in development. We are aiming for our kind of to bring that to market in about a year's time, so February 2023. Touch wood, all things goes to plan. And yeah, I mean, for the next couple of months, it's really pushing the mobile app and trying to get some meaningful feedback on that, so we can feed that back into the content creation machine. And yeah, more work in the background towards the platform development.
Yeah, and if you want any more info, then the email address is on the website. You can put it in the description below, maybe. I don't know.
Yep.
But yeah, if anyone wants to contact us about anything, go for it. That'd be fabulous.
Cool. Yeah. Any links you guys want to share
with us as well?
Yeah, anyone wants to work with us? Yeah, we're more than happy to start those conversations.
Yeah, we'll be retweeting anything and sharing as much as possible, and checking out that and the mobile app, as long as Planet Pollinate. Maybe we'll get a video of Wookie and I screaming at each other. We'll see what happens.
That'll be fun. Educational.
That would be great.
Maybe you'll learn some new words.
Oh yeah, definitely.
And thanks to you guys as well for having us on here. It's been a real blast. Yeah.
Yeah. Anytime.
Oh yes.
Like I said, the stuff that you're helping people, you're educating, and you're making it fun and interesting, and that's just something like I so wish was a thing when I was younger, because who knows what would have happened, but it's just great to see. Yeah, maybe, I don't know. But
never say never. Never say never.
Maybe I won't go to HR so often. I don't know. We'll see. I don't think, yeah, anytime you guys have updates or just want to come share anything else, we'd love to have you back. It's just fun to talk and great to hear you guys' side of things.
What would be interesting is what would be interesting if you do play Planet Pollinate, in the coming weeks or coming months or something like that, when we've got the AI back end implemented into it, I'd be interested to see you playing it again, and having that, oh, you know, Wiki, you swore like 40 times in that one section. You know, good job, effective communication, you know, and things like that. Just, you know, see your kind of comparisons. That's some of the things we're interested in as well. Was, you know, how it was, where it's going, and you know where it's going in the future as well.
Trying to
But
meditate
the AI
before I
stuff,
play.
yeah,
Get it all out.
yeah, exactly. It feeds into our model, so there's, you know, nothing to, we can vet out the inappropriate stuff so it doesn't go back to the the students.
That's awesome.
Just kidding.
But no, definitely, we'll keep using a look at what we're doing and how things develop.
100%.
Awesome. My battery's at 4%. If I'd cut out before we finish up,
Yeah,
I'm not just like, screw these guys. I'm just,
Yeah.
Well,
No,
everyone,
that's cool.
thanks
But
for
no, yeah,
watching
thanks
and
very much for
listening.
having us. This was brilliant.
Sorry, there must be some voice lag going on. Sorry about that. The VR Hive, links are in the show notes. Check everything out. Don't forget May 10th, the big day. We'll be sharing the mobile app
May
links
10th,
to that.
Hive 360 mobile app.
Yeah.
Boom, boom, boom.
But
Thanks.
thanks for watching, listening, hanging out.
Thank you.